Paging, Texas higher education. You're drunk. Go home. Welcome back to Come and Take It. Wishing you guys a very happy Thanksgiving week. Hope you all are going to plan to enjoy the holiday with your family and really focus and reflect on what all you have to be thankful for. Because it's a lot. For as much as we complain about living in the state of Texas, there is still, of course, a lot to be thankful for living in the state of Texas. We're just a little bit spoiled, maybe, when it comes to, expecting perfection and expecting only the best. So happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. So this last week, there has been a whole lot of what in the world is going on with Texas higher education that I wanted to run through some of this with y'all because it's getting crazy out there, okay? Like, paging, Texas higher education, you're drunk, go home.
It's awful.
All right, this first one pains me. I will just say I grew up a Longhorns fan. I had season tickets when I lived in the area. I love the football team, UT Longhorns, Texas Longhorns. I do not endorse the wokeness and the craziness happening at UT Austin, okay? Love the football team, hate the indoctrination system. So case in point, here's a headline from Texas Scorecard last week. UT system regents approve free tuition for families making $100,000 or less. Socialism, but make it burn orange. That's what this is. Okay, so let me give you the details here. The Promise Plus program, which provides financial aid, was first implemented in 2022 to assist families at income thresholds of around $65,000. Now, I would argue that that's already too high. You're not impoverished at $65,000, but yet you could receive this aid. Well, the move will now expand full coverage tuition eligibility to a baseline of $100,000 or less.
That's insane.
Now, don't you love how in all of the press coverage of this, they use the word free? Don't you love how they use the word free? Like, first of all, I'm going to stop you right there, especially when it comes to education. Nothing is free. None of this is free. It takes money to do things, and that money is coming from somewhere. Now, perhaps it's at no cost to the student, but it ain't free. You know who likes using the language free when talking about other people's money? Socialists.
Socialist hellscape.
They love considering that money free. They love it if you consider that money free, because then you don't think about who pays for it. And in a lot of circumstances, it is, of course, you. You're paying for it and you're tricked into thinking that it's free. And you're like, this is a really great free benefit. No, you're still paying for it. It's baked in somewhere along the line. The question is where it is along the line and how much you're on the hook for. So, when we talk about this free tuition, just remember, that's all socialist when you get down to the end game, which is probably predictably why Senator John Cornyn posted about this on X with the caption, "A game changer. UT system announces free tuition for qualifying Texas families." From the Dallas Morning News, no less. John Cornyn posting a link from the Dallas Morning News bragging about free tuition at a Texas higher education school is just chef's kiss. I mean, that is too perfect for someone like John Cornyn. So where is the money come from? Well, according to a press release, the program is funded through the Regents' investments into Promise Plus endowments, and a $35 million campus investment will come from endowment distributions, the Available University Fund, and other resources. So you may be thinking, what is the Available University Fund? What all does that entail? Well, it actually consists of returns from investments on the Permanent University Fund, which was put in the state constitution in 1876, and it includes land set aside to support both the Texas A&M and University of Texas systems. So these two schools get access to revenues from this land that is set aside for them to just rake in all the revenues from. And now this is, of course, including more than 2 million acres that are leased to oil and gas companies. And so the revenues, part of the revenues, these two public schools, UT Austin and Texas A&M, get access to. So first of all, as we're having this conversation about how absurd it is, I mean, all of it is absurd on its face, but how absurd it is that they have just made the threshold $100,000. Okay. Keep in mind that the median income in the state of Texas is $76,000. $76,000. So with a baseline of $100,000, this program that these regents have just enacted is rewarding families making well over the median income in Texas.
Makes no sense.
Now, I could go on about how just that in and of itself is, of course, going to cheapen the education that your child is getting if you're paying for all of this 100%, but we won't go there, okay? Instead, we'll take a different path and take into consideration that the state of Texas provides UT, well, like from UT's own website, okay? The state of Texas provides UT Austin with, they say, about 10% of their total budget, which is $3.36 billion. So do the math. That means you, the taxpayer, are subsidizing them to the tune of around more than $300 million. Does that feel good? Are you glad that your taxes are going to pay for no-cost tuition for someone who comes from a family who probably, if you're looking at the median income, makes more than you? Oh, but wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
Okay, the school also gets $646 million in federal funding. So we'll call it, can we round up? Can we call it a cool bill? Okay, $1 billion of taxpayer money just with the federal funding and the state allocation. And I would just say, like, I don't know, if they can afford to offer no-cost tuition, especially for families that are doing just fine, I think it's about time to turn off the faucet. Sounds to me like y'all are doing just fine with all of your funding and your endowments and all of the ways that you're funding this already. You've got a lot in reserves. So if you're going to indoctrinate our youth, which again, hey, I'm a capitalist, okay? If you want to provide something and someone else is willing to pay for it, have at it. But with Texas taxpayer money, no, that's where we draw the line. If you're going to indoctrinate our youth, it shouldn't be on my dime like that. Okay? You're doing okay. I understand subsidizing for people in need because I would never say in this country the people who are poor don't get, don't deserve some sort of an opportunity to higher education, because obviously people who are born poor, of course, should have the opportunity to go on to be doctors or, you name it, something that they would need higher education in order to go out and pursue. But you launch a program like this, you're doing just fine, okay? But it's not just UT, which leads me to my second headline in what in the world is going on with higher education. Here's another one for you. Texas Governor Greg Abbott directs state funds away from China.
China.
Come for the socialism, stay for the communism. Come one, come all. So here's what happened. An investment management company called, this is a mouthful, so I'll tell you the acronym. University of Texas and Texas A&M Investment Management Company, and this is UTIMCO, is for short, which manages billions of dollars in assets for both UT and Texas A&M, has come under scrutiny after a Texas scorecard investigation revealed its investments in more than 50 Chinese companies. It goes on, this raised alarm about the potential risks of Texas funds being entangled with entities tied to the CCP. You think? I mean, do you guys know how entrenched, how tied in the CCP is to Chinese businesses? They don't call them the Chinese Communist Party for nothing. If you're unaware of what communism means when it comes to businesses, you should look that up. Okay. So it's gotten so bad that Abbott, Governor Greg Abbott, has now issued an executive order to halt the investments in China and divest from existing holdings linked to the CCP. And he had this to say in part in a statement. As Chinese aggression against the United States and its allies seems likely to continue, the financial risk associated with holding investments in China will also rise. Therefore, all investments of state funds in China must be evaluated and immediately addressed, which seems like, completely obvious to anyone who's paying attention. By the way, for reference, let me just throw this out here. In 2019 to 2020, or to 2020, this is from Texas A&M's own information. Texas A&M received $684.9 million in support from state and local taxpayers. Don't you love how they use the term in support from state and local taxpayers? As if you were like, oh my gosh, yes, I would love to write this check directly to Texas A&M to continue to fund diversity, equity, and inclusion classes and LGBTQIA plus apostrophe semicolon two-spirit classes. Yes, I support that.
No, absolutely not.
It's cute how they write that. And then in June 2023, the Texas A&M system received a record, don't fall out of your chair, okay? A record $1.19 billion freaking dollars in new funding from the state of Texas. When you look at all of this, remember, this isn't even taking into account the insane levels of indoctrination that you will still find in public schools across the state, the insane classes that they are still offering that will do nothing for these students once they actually go out into the workforce and try to make something of themselves.
Are you worried about your kid's future? You should be. I'm Charles Blaine with Texas Tomorrow. This is a show where we're going to talk about the issues and the people that are pushing the policies that concern your family, your home, and your kids. Catch Texas Tomorrow every Thursday.
That's not even scratching the surface on that aspect. This is solely, what in the world are we doing? We are funding these college systems. We are funding these public higher education systems. And I understand the intention of it at the beginning. But it sure sounds like they are completely fine, smitten even, with continuing to increase the amount of money that you are paying for their indoctrination. And then they just want to squander it. They want to offer, socialized higher education, which, if you look at how this has worked out, anytime you socialize higher education, medicine, any sort of industry, anytime you socialize it, of course, the quality gets worse.
But it's all downhill from here.
So, of course, that's just going to make it worse. That's going to cheapen everyone's education who actually is paying for it. Also the case in medicine. Don't even get me started down that rabbit hole. But so, of course, you socialize it, it gets worse. But also, you guys seem to have it covered with the amount of money that if you're spending that much money and you're doing things like offering free tuition to families who are living very comfortably and investing money in companies potentially related to the CCP in China, I think you're doing fine. So why in the world are Texas taxpayers subsidizing schools, giving away tuition, and using our tax dollars to invest in the Chinese Communist Party? Turn off the faucet. Turn it off. This is an issue that plagues so many different industries. They get just a taste of that taxpayer money. They get a taste of those taxpayer funds, and they don't want to let go. And they want to milk it for every single drop that they can. And unfortunately, those who are in charge, those who we have asked to man the gate, to pay attention, to make sure that they don't start taking advantage of our money, they've just completely abdicated that responsibility because there is not one dime of my money, of your money, that should go to these little indoctrination camps if they are participating in programs that show they don't need our money. They got the endowments. They got it all. That's fine. Let them participate in a capitalist society where they provide a service, a good. Obviously, this is more of a service, but whatever. You want to provide, you show the consumer, show the student, show whoever it is that you are asking for money. You show them, this is what I'm going to provide you, and this is what I'm going to charge. And if the student wants to take them up on that, that's between them and the student. But this has gotten out of hand. I mean, I just think about my children who are, of course, 12 and 4, and I'm like, I just don't think I could stomach sending them to higher education the way that it stands right now. I mean, my hope is that something changes, right? Like my hope is that like something blows it up and it course corrects. And I don't have to be faced with the decision of whether or not I do that, because I just don't think I could stomach it. And I don't think it's worth it. So look, Texas taxpayers at the end of the day should not be funding this socialist garbage. I know that Representative Brian Harrison has been speaking out against this. I'm sure that there are others, but my hope is that the Texas legislature actually takes this on, looks at it, investigates it, determines whether or not these colleges, these universities can get along without our taxpayer money. And if so, turn off the faucet. Okay? Do something, Texas legislature. All right. Y'all remember to, if you're listening on audio podcast, go in, rate the show, review it. Obviously, we deserve no less than 5 stars. You could give us 10 if they'd let you, but they don't. But since they don't, you can go in and leave a review and tell us how many more stars than 5 you would have left us had they given you the opportunity. And then make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, you go in and smash that like button. Hit the like button and comment. That helps us in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us. So enjoy your family, enjoy your time. Happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you next time on Come and Take It.